Growth is exactly what you want to see happening.
Exactly.
All right, let's get the Democratic response to President Trump's State of the Union address last night. Joining us right now is Congressman Steny Hoyer of Maryland, who serves as House Minority Whip. And Leader Hoyer, it's great to see you. Thank you for being here today.
Good morning. Thanks a lot. Good to be with you.
And so tell us what you think. The president laid out a speech that calls for bipartisanship this year. You think that's going to happen?
Well, he called for bipartisanship. I don't think any of us thought on our side of the aisle that it was a very bipartisan speech. One of the problems was it started out pretty smoothly, but it's going to get pretty hard line as he went into a number of the issues that he discussed, and of course criticisms of previous administrations and how he had changed. We also think he made some pretty glaring misrepresentations about why the economy is where it is. For instance, on jobs, as you know, there were more jobs created in 2016 than there were in 2017. There may be reasons for that, but the fact of the matter is this president was advantaged by inheriting a growing economy, an economy that was stock market had increased 300% between the end of the Bush administration and the end of the Obama administration. So we were disappointed with the speech. He says America's stronger. I'm not sure that's the case. I think he said it was we could be proud. We're certainly proud of being Americans, but when you look at the respect that America is held in around the world, you see a very sharp decline, and a very sharp decline in the confidence in America as the leader of the free world. Those, I think, lead us to being less confident as a nation in many respects, and I think that the president's unpopularity, or lack of popularity, if you want to say it that way, reflects Americans being disconcerted about how he's leading this country.
All right, so I'll take that as a no when it comes to bipartisanship.
I think that a no would be appropriate. As you looked at on our side of the aisle, we didn't hear a lot of bipartisanship. We heard some good things, but not a lot of bipartisanship.
When it comes to where we see the economy right now, where we see the stock market after the tax cuts, what do you think the impact of just what we've seen this earnings season has been from tax cuts?
Well, clearly the stock market is up. It took it's somewhat fragile, perhaps, although it's been a continuous rise over the last year. That's positive news but it doesn't really reflect, I think, what's happening in middle-class America. And we think the tax bill, as you know, is going to create a great amount of debt. It does give some moderate help to working people, but it gives the overwhelming majority, some 83% of its benefits to the upper 1% of our country. We thought and we believe, and President Obama indicated, we needed to bring corporate tax rates down so that we could be competitive with the rest of the world. So we think bringing those rates down was a good thing. Now, whether or not, we certainly didn't agree to bring it down that low because we think the debt is going to be exploded, and that's going to hurt the economy long term and hurt future generations long term.
Steny, help us with this. You heard the president talk about the infrastructure plan. He floated a number of $1.5 trillion rather, which is about half a trillion dollars more than the number that some people had talked about earlier. Some of the early drafts we saw were talking about a $200 billion federal infusion. Can you see a bipartisan way to get some type of infrastructure plan together here?
Joe, clearly the Democrats believe that we need to invest in infrastructure, and we believe so. I think there's not disagreement on that. The issue is where you get the resources. Another $1.5 trillion. There was nothing in the speech that said how that was going to be raised, how that was going to be gotten so that we could invest in the infrastructure the president proposed. I certainly want to see the details of that. The Democrats want to see the details of that. What we don't want to see is an increasing exacerbation of the deep, deep hole that we're creating for our debt with the $1.5 trillion from the tax cut, $1.5 trillion in infrastructure and other programs the president mentioned, and his very substantial increase in defense. But there are no ways that the president has indicated that we're going to be able to pay for that. Yep. And therefore, future generations apparently are just going to be pushed deeper, deeper, deeper into debt. That's not good for our country. It's certainly not good for future generations.
So there's no. Oh, go ahead.
So no, I was just going to say, yeah, that was Andrew standing. Because if it was me, you know, I'd talk about the Terps to start out, probably, because we'll always have the Terps. We'll always have Boomer Esiason, you and I. You know,
you got that.
Yeah, Purdue tonight, which I'm, you know, I think, are they really that good? Anyway, we'll see. But
you know, we've come close, Joe, and a number of times we came close with Michigan. We play Michigan State, I guess, this coming Sunday. The fact of the matter is that we come close, but we haven't gotten there yet. And of course, we had two very substantial injuries.
Right, a lot of parity this year, if you've noticed. I don't know. You know, I see Xavier lose, and then I see him beat great. You know, it's like anybody could do. Anyway, what I was going to ask you, that was softening you up a little bit, so that I can go to. So five different responses. I saw, you know, he's a Republican, Ari Fleischer, but he said that. That is a sort of a representative of that there's no clear Democratic, I don't know, message or candidate for 2020. And as we get closer, everybody's going to go further and further left until they actually fall off the face of the earth. And knowing you, do you ever look at the geographic center of the Democratic Party right now and kind of look around and just say, how did I get here? What happened? Are you uncomfortable where it is right now, Steny?
Let me tell you the good news, Joe, from my standpoint.
Okay.
I think you're going to see us win a lot of moderate seats around the country. Moderate seats being seats that can go Republican or can go Democrat, swing seats. And I think we see throughout the country, in many, many areas of the country, the opportunity to take back seats that we've held or seats that Republicans are losing. So I think you're going to see a balancing. But I also think you're going to see a continuing unity of things that we think need to be done, investment in jobs, investment in infrastructure, maintenance of health care for all Americans, access, which has been undermined substantially by this administration, and by the tax bill, where some 13 million people are going to lose health insurance as a result of that, as premiums go up very substantially. But I think that you're going to see a lot of moderate districts won by Democrats.
It sounds like you're saying you wish the party was less, you know, hasn't moved quite as far left. You're pushing the moderate.
Democrats are problem solvers ultimately, and that's what we're going to be focused on, making sure that Americans, particularly working Americans, who we don't think were very advantaged by this tax bill, that working Americans have better jobs and a better future.
Thank you.
Leader, I want to thank you for your time today.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Still no, you know, the big Boomer Esiason statue down there. No Steny. I'm taking up a collection to try and get a
We've heard
the right sculptor, the right person.
My guess is someday that will happen.
I think.